7 days after my husband and I moved into our dream house, my phone rang from an unknown number. I almost ignored it. Then I answered. A calm, older man's voice said, "Are you the new owner of the house on Willow Creek Road?" "Yes." "Who's this?" There was a long silence before he spoke again. "I used to own that house." I smiled politely. "Oh, is everything okay?" His next sentence made every hair on my arms stand up. "Don't tell your husband I called." I froze. "What?" "Come to the house tomorrow, afternoon, alone. There's something hidden. There that belongs to you now. But if your husband finds it first, your life will never be the same." The call ended. I stared at my phone, wondering if someone was playing a sick joke. That evening, I almost told my husband, Ethan, but before I could, he casually said, "If anyone contacts you about this house, ignore them. The former owner has been acting strange since the sale." His answer felt unrehearsed. When I asked how he knew that, he quickly changed the subject. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying both conversations in my head. The former owner's warning, and my husband's unusually nervous reaction. For the first time since moving into our new home, I looked around the house and felt something I couldn't explain. It no longer felt like our dream home. It felt like a place where someone had buried a secret, waiting for me to uncover it. The next afternoon, I couldn't ignore the curiosity anymore. I waited until Ethan left for work. 10 minutes later, I drove back home with my heart pounding so hard. I could barely keep my hands steady on the steering wheel. The former owner, Mr. Harrison, was already waiting across the street. He looked to be in his late 60s, wearing an old denim jacket and holding a small rusted key. "You came," he said quietly. "I almost didn't." He nodded. "Most people wouldn't." Without another word, he led me to the basement. At the back wall stood an old wooden cabinet the previous owners had left behind. "Help me move it." It was heavier than it looked. Behind it was a narrow metal door I had never noticed before. Mr. Harrison handed me the key. I was going to tell the next owner, but when I learned who bought my house, I knew I had to tell you personally. Confused, I unlocked the door. Inside was a tiny hidden room. There was a dusty safe, several photo albums, and a stack of sealed envelopes. "What is all this?" I whispered. Mr. Harrison's expression turned grim. "I didn't hide those from you. I hid them from your husband." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" He opened one of the envelopes and slid a photograph into my trembling hands. It showed Ethan, standing in this very basement. But the date written on the back was 3 years ago. I stared at the picture in disbelief. "That's impossible," I whispered. He told me he'd never even seen this house before we bought it. Mr. Harrison looked me straight in the eyes. He lied. And if you open that safe, you'll finally understand why he was so determined to make sure this house became yours. Hands shook as I spun the dial on the old safe. Mr. Harrison quietly gave me the combination. The lock clicked. I slowly pulled the heavy metal door open. Inside were several folders, a USB drive, and a thick envelope with my husband's name written across the front. "Ethan Walker." I looked at Mr. Harrison. "I don't understand." "You will?" I opened the envelope first. The documents inside revealed that Ethan had visited this house many times before I ever met him. There were visitor logs, signed repair invoices, and even copies of emails between him and Mr. Harrison's late daughter, Rebecca. My pulse raced. Who was Rebecca? Mr. Harrison's eyes filled with sadness. "My daughter." He took a deep breath before continuing. "Ethan dated her 5 years ago." I felt as if the floor had disappeared beneath my feet. He told me I was the first woman he ever wanted to marry. Mr. Harrison slowly shook his head. "No, Rebecca was." He handed me another photograph. It showed Ethan on one knee, holding an engagement ring while Rebecca laughed through happy tears. I couldn't breathe. What happened to her? Mr. Harrison looked toward the basement window. 6 months after that picture was taken, Rebecca died in what police ruled was a tragic accident. Silence filled the hidden room. Then he added something that made my blood run cold. I never believed it was an accident. He plugged the USB drive into an old laptop he'd brought with him. A grainy security video appeared on the screen. The timestamp matched the week before Rebecca died. The footage showed Ethan arguing with Rebecca in the driveway. She tried to walk away. He grabbed her arm. She shoved him back. Then he shouted words the camera couldn't clearly capture. Rebecca burst into tears before driving away. Mr. Harrison paused the video. That was the last time I ever saw my daughter alive. My chest tightened. "Why didn't you give this to the police?" "I did. They said it wasn't enough." He reached into the safe one final time and placed a small digital voice recorder in my hand. But this was... I pressed the play button. Rebecca's frightened voice filled the room. "If anything happens to me..." Ethan threatened me. He said if I left him, I'd regret it forever. My entire body went numb. Just then, I heard the unmistakable sound of a car pulling into the driveway. Mr. Harrison looked toward the basement stairs, his face turning pale. He wasn't supposed to be home yet. Heavy footsteps echoed through the house above us. Then I heard my husband's voice. "Honey, are you home?" The basement door began to creak open. My heart nearly stopped. Mr. Harrison quickly pulled me behind a shelf as Ethan's footsteps echoed down the basement stairs. "Honey?" He called again, his voice calm, but I knew him well enough to hear the panic underneath. He reached the hidden room and froze, his eyes locked on the open safe. Then they found Mr. Harrison. "So, you're still alive," Ethan muttered. Mr. Harrison stepped in front of me. "It's over, Ethan." Ethan laughed bitterly. "You really think anyone will believe an old man obsessed with his daughter's death?" I stepped out from behind the shelf. "I will." His face turned white. "Emily, let me explain." "No," I said, holding up the voice recorder. "You've lied since the day we met." For a split second, his expression changed. He lunged toward me. Before he could grab the recorder, 2 detectives rushed into the basement. "Please, don't move." Ethan froze. Mr. Harrison had called the police before meeting me, afraid Ethan might return unexpectedly. The officers had been waiting outside after receiving the evidence. Within minutes, Ethan was in handcuffs. The investigation reopened Rebecca's death, combined with the recordings, emails, financial records, and the hidden documents from the safe. Detectives uncovered the truth. Ethan had manipulated Rebecca for her inheritance, and after she planned to leave him, he had staged the incident that ended her life. He had pursued me years later because my savings helped him buy the very house that concealed the evidence he believed was gone forever. I filed for divorce that same week. Months later, Ethan was convicted for Rebecca's murder, fraud, and multiple related crimes. The day the verdict was read, Mr. Harrison hugged me with tears in his eyes. "You gave my daughter her voice back." I smiled through my own tears. "No," I whispered. "She never lost it." Someone finally listened. I sold the house soon afterward. People often ask if I regret answering that strange phone call. I always give the same answer. If I had ignored it, I would still be married to a murderer, and an innocent woman would never have received justice. Sometimes the scariest call you'll ever answer isn't the one that ruins your life. It's the one that saves it.